Howdy ho, Maplers. As you're all probably aware, compensation has brought us a free 90 back pet, which adversely has increased an already pretty bad macroing and botting issue to a much greater macroing and botting issue. As such, I feel now is the best time to bring up a question that's been on my mind for a very long time. Why does GMS not have lie detectors? They've existed for over 10 years in KMS and have been regularly updated and modernized. They are the only means of true player-sided moderation for botting and anti-macro farming purposes. For those who don't know, lie detectors are a use item that is sold in all major town potion shops and are used to test if a player is actually at their keyboard playing or if it is a bot/script playing the game for them, also known as macro farming. Lie detector pop-ups usually come in two forms. A green star, which pops up with a countdown timer and a CAPTCHA code for the player to input. Players get 3 to 5 tries at the CAPTCHA before they're sent to a prison map if they fail. Spinning Julieta minigame is the other one, where you just need to follow the real Julieta as she dances around with 3 fakes. Players get only 1 chance at this minigame, as it is the much easier of the two. It's very, very slow. You'd be hard-pressed to miss it if you're actually at your keyboard. If a player fails either of those tests, they're sent to a prison map where they cannot leave until they serve out their sentence. The sentencing period increases the more the players are sent to this map. So if you fail the CAPTCHA or the minigame multiple times in the same day, your stay in prison is going to get longer and longer and longer. Currently, KMS has these in 2 ways: player usable lie detectors and random lie detectors. The random lie detectors are very infrequent, about every 1 to 3 weeks while training, and the player-based lie detectors are used to supplement this system. For those unaware, lie detectors can only be used on players who are in hunting maps, i.e. maps where there are mobs and people train. Currently for GMS, there is no meaningful way of countering botters or macro farmers, as currently the only actions taken are sweeping bot account ban waves and increasingly infrequent white room checks. GMS does not have the manpower to maintain the amount of in-game GMs required to moderate the amount of players in the game. So letting the community self-moderate at least a small percent is infinitely valuable in my eyes. Currently, the only means GMS players have to check if someone is botting or macro farming is to talk to the player through in-game chat and try to elicit a response. As seen in my last video, this is incredibly flawed, to the point that it's a meaningless endeavor. People find it unfair because they didn't react fast enough, etc., etc. As well, any player reported using this evidence of like trying to chat to them and them not responding, or they keep trying to do their loot cycles and whatnot while you're KSing them, are rarely, if ever, punished. Reports involving video evidence are ignored by GMS. Plenty of players have commented about sending in report tickets with video evidence of people botting and macroing for long periods of time and getting their reports closed, and the video remains unwatched. They do not have the manpower to even go through the ban reports with actual evidence. So again, I ask the question, why does GMS not have lie detectors? It seems like the obvious solution. You don't have to hire anyone to do lie detectors. The players will supplement the random lie detector tests, and they will do a better job than what we currently have. It requires players to actively respond to on-screen prompts to prove that they're at their keyboard. No need to chat or even stop training. For those who don't know, modern lie detector pop-ups do not stop you from doing anything. You can continue training, farming, whatever you are doing in your training map while completing them. You can put in the CAPTCHA, you can do the little Julieta minigame without ever breaking stride. You don't have to lose any meso, nothing. All it requires is that you're attentive, and it's pretty hard to miss these because they're sizable pop-ups. This would give players a legitimate, meaningful way to test if someone is macro farming, or just being unattentive to the in-game chat for various reasons. As pointed out in my previous video by many people, most players don't feel the obligation to respond in chat to random players. Or they will just miss chat messages because they're watching something on the side and they're just being unattentive to MapleStory, which you should be trying to at least glance over at MapleStory, but that's another issue. So a big pop-up would catch their attention much better than any in-game chat message would. And this would allow them to prove their legitimacy too, because if the lie detector times out and they're still on the map, that means they passed the CAPTCHA. They did the test, they're there. That's a physical person there doing it. This isn't a perfect solution. As with quote-unquote professionally made botting tools, they have the capabilities to input CAPTCHAs. However, taking a defeatist approach to handling macro farmers has gotten us nowhere so far. That's effectively what GMS has done for the last 10 years, and it's annoying. Armchair macroers are becoming exponentially more common, especially with the free 90-day vac pets given out as compensation recently. And leading into the release of the new level cap at 300, this is prime time in a sense for people to start abusing the system by macro farming their way to the top. This already occurs, and it's been prevalent for as long as I can remember in GMS. Even the 275 race had very prevalent macroing and botting. Tons of top players were banned because they were macroing. It'll become an even greater problem once Neo comes out and the level 300 cap comes, because it is a much, much longer grind. And most people don't have the willpower to put in the hours, but they still want to be level cap, so they'll cheat the system. This problem is exacerbated in Reboot, but it's also a major problem in normal servers as well. For Reboot, farming is the only consistent, quick way of acquiring mesos and items required to progress. Some players just don't have the drive to farm these items, but they still want the rewards of being an endgame player. So they turn to macroing and botting to cheat this system, resulting in maps being overcrowded by quote-unquote players that will never tire and will never leave those maps until they DC or they have to go to bed or what have you that forces them to turn off their script and log out for the day. For reg servers, these macro farmers not only affect map accessibility, but they also impact the market and devalue items and meso farmed and procured by legitimate players. Not to mention the RMT market where they sell most of their ill-gotten games, which is completely against the terms of service and is in Nexon's best interest to deal with. The macro farmers aren't anything new. They've been around since the start of the game. It's just, it's becoming way more of an issue. If Nexon is true about wanting to be more open with the community and transparent with the player base on why and how they do things, I implore anyone on the GMS team to give us an idea as to why we're being excluded from the system that would help crack down on these macro farmers. With Neo coming at us fast and with every player in the game getting access to a 90-day vac pet, now is the best time for us to finally have a meaningful and impactful way of handling macro farmers. It's been proven time and time again that GMS does not have the manpower to have the amount of in-game GMs required to handle the player base. White rooming was pretty frequent for all of 2 weeks. It's effectively done. I have heard very little of people getting white roomed, and almost exclusively people getting white roomed are in Reboot. Reg servers have been completely abandoned. The only things we get are occasional ban waves, and those are too little, too late, more than often. I want this to be an open discussion though. What do you guys think about implementing a lie detector system? Are you for or against it? I'd be very interested to hear why you're against it, because the modern lie detector system in KMS is almost unabusable. Think of it like the fame system. Have it so that one character can only lie detector a person once a month. It seems like a simple fix to me.